Well, hello, everyone.
Happy Wednesday evening.
It's April Fool's Day today.
I had to ban myself from X about midday because I fell for
It's a bad
every
day to be on
single
X.
every single one of
Bad
them.
day to be on X.
And then I'd fall for it, I'd remember, and then I'd delete my tweet, and
There
then
was
I'd
a
fall
lot
for the
of
next one.
conference realignment going on today on X. I noticed Utah was coming back to the conference.
Yep.
There was a merger of Conference USA and the Mountain West and a third Sun Belt. I think they were gonna join like a super league or something like that, an action league of defenders.
It's never underestimate Twitter people, especially on a day like today.
Exactly. Hey everyone, we are collectively Crimson, and we are here on behalf of the Cougar Collective and Cougs everywhere. And if you're not a member of the 1890 Club, as we always say,
what's up with that?
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna all be linked up in the description box when you're done here. And so listen, give to that. And we're going to do a cool news segment. We got a cool news segment, which today we're going to talk about the Coug of the Week. We'll do it later on, but we got the Coug of the Week.
And I think this is important because we get this question a lot, right? You know, we had Wade on last week.
Right.
And, you know, I think a lot of people, there's this misconception that, you know, you have to be like Johnny Big Bucks in order to like make a big difference around here.
Right. Or that the only thing we need is money. Because there's a lot more.
And what do we tell people when it's your time, talent, or treasure?
That's right.
And it's usually a mixture of those.
That's right.
And so, you know, just not our Coug of the Week, but he deserves it for something last. But Justin, who started the buses with Cassie, you know, he reached out to the collective, said, "Hey, what can I do? Here's what I'm good at." And they said, "Well, everybody's been asking us to make buses, but we don't have the time to do it." And then he just went out and did it. Yeah.
Right.
Because there's kind of three types of Cougs out there right now.
Oh, there are. Okay, let's hear this. I want to hear this. Three types of Cougs.
There's the ones I'd call diehard Cougs, who just like to sit and bitch all the time. They'd complain if you hung them with a new rope.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know where I got that name from, but maybe a Facebook page with about
perhaps
30,000 users who are very loud, but none of them are 1890 Club members.
That is an excellent point there. Right?
Yeah. Oh man, they'll tell you everything. So those are the diehard Cougs. They love to light up Tim. They love to light up the DMs, and they go, "You ought to do this, and you ought to do this, you ought to do this." And I'm not saying it's those people, but I think it's the same people who every time that there's a loss or something like that, they cancel their membership after 20 Coors Lights, right?
Right.
You know, it's like, I'll show you.
So that's the diehard Cougs.
That's the die easy Cougs, right?
I like that one better.
Right?
Die easy.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you've got like the tried and true. All right. Now it's the same 2,000, 3,000 people that are members of
everything.
The Cougar Athletic Fund, the members of the 1890 Club. They're there sitting in their seats,
freezing their ass off in November.
They're buying their trucks from Valley RV or Brad Brotherton or Valley GMC. Like, they're in. They're all right. They're in that core.
All in.
That is 3,000 out of 250,000 living alumni.
Yep.
And then we've got the other 200,000.
Okay. And what do we call them?
Come on, Cougs. Like, those are the come on, Cougs.
The come on, Cougs.
And a lot of and they're waiting around the sidelines. They're going, I don't know where I can help. I don't know how I can help. You know, the nice thing is we've gotten over this hurdle for a couple years. Like when the Pac-12 disintegrated, we were in this like, why bother?
Yeah,
that was the like.
Well, there was also a period of time from a collective standpoint where we didn't know what we were doing, what we were allowed to do, and so everything we were doing was like this clandestine operation. And now, you know, the university's out loud and proud about NIL. We're out loud and proud. So it's not this clandestine operation. And what we want people to understand at home is that, yeah, listen, if you want to donate money, well, thank you very much. But if you want to help and you're not there where you can do it with the money, there is so much other things that you can be doing, not only for the Cougar Collective, but what you can be doing for Washington State University, whether it's through the Cougar Athletic Fund or any of the other very worthwhile things that they got going on. And the biggest thing you can do is you can show up on Saturdays and make a bunch of noise. And we're going to get a chance to talk to a guy who's going to get them all jacked up for these Saturdays this fall.
But before we show our Coug of the Week, I got a couple more examples of just like Cougs who have stepped up, right? Yeah. So, you know, the folks at Playfly took over the multimedia rights at WSU this past year, and they've been kicking butt with it. Now, for whatever reason, the previous employer there didn't do a great job of reaching out to Western Washington brands. We got a ton of Cougs that come from a communication and marketing stand, you know,
a lot,
like a ton of them.
Right.
it's been so much fun because it's been just calling these guys and going, hey, big company one in Western Washington. How do we get in front of the right person? And it's a Coug and they work in marketing. They just introduce it
just happens.
Lisa Johnson's been over here a ton, just meeting with all these brands who haven't heard from WSU for way too long. And that's what you can do. If you work in advertising and marketing, just connect the meeting, reach out to me, reach out to Lisa, reach out to whoever, and just say, hey, just take the call so you can sit down. And that's huge.
It is.
Big shout out to Roy Taus has done that recently. Reed over at Microsoft has done that for us. And it's just, who knows if that, what that will yield, but it will yield nothing if we're not even taking these meetings to begin with. So I'm pumped about it. It's been really cool to see.
It should be. That's a good segue to do a plug for the Cougs First Business Show coming up.
Oh my God, it's a great plug for it.
A little segue there for that.
Let's plug that.
All right. So listen, if you're a Coug and you're running a business, own a business, just a business person, you need to be doing business with all the other Cougs. Therefore, you need to be part of the Cougs First Business Network with a fantastic Seattle show coming up on May 29th, I believe, right? Right down there by the stadiums in the Triangle building. For those of you remember where the viaduct used to be, it used to run right by it. And I understand we're going to be doing, we're going live, Collectively Crimson live on location that night too.
And we're going to go a half an hour longer than they allocate for us.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna set up right next to the bar too. I think we should set up right by the bar.
Now I've owned a business now for like 6 years, and I worked in sales before that. So I've been to a lot of networking events, and there are some just god awful kill me networking events. Cougs First is not like that. Nope. It's a ton of fun because you get there and it's just all Cougs. And if you get there and don't know anybody, come grab me, come grab Bill. We will introduce you to whoever you're looking to meet. You will have
20 new best friends by the end of the night for sure.
Yes. And then we'll also tell you who not to give your phone number to, because that phone won't stop ringing. So
you want to set up tonight's show? Tell them who we got, because we got a couple cool guests. Yeah.
Well, no mystery guest for you tonight.
No, that's fortunate.
Yes.
That's fortunate.
So we've got a Coug legend.
We got a Coug legend, and we got a new Coug.
And a new Coug.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wouldn't want to be in a physical altercation with either of them.
No, I agree. Yeah. Our first guest is our brand new director of football athletic performance. Sometimes they call him strength and conditioning coaches back in the day. It's Malcolm Hardman, and we're going to have a chance to talk to him about all things. We're going to talk a lot about what's going on with spring football, because I imagine a big component of what he's doing there. We're going to talk about what we're going to see in the fall. We're going to find out a little bit about him too. I did my little research on him. And then,
thank God somebody did.
Yeah. All right. And then who is our second guest tonight?
We got Bump in the house.
Bump is in the house.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Michael Bumpus. Yeah.
New
inductee to the Pacific Northwest Football Hall of Fame, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is big.
Somehow scammed a ride in the Super Bowl parade too. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, he works with the team. He works for the team. He's on the team, but
he's Bump.
He can talk himself into any room. But yeah.
He did a nice job with the auction too.
He did a great job with the auction.
Cougar Athletics.
Yes. So, and he's always just a pleasure to talk to.
So, do we call him Coach Hardman, or what do we do? You want to get him on here and let's find out?
Yeah, let's ask him.
Right,
Bring him on, Brandon.
What's going on, fellas?
How's it going?
So, is it Coach Hardman? Is that how we're doing this?
Hey, I just wanted to make sure you guys would go ahead and bring in that juice. You know what I'm saying? You guys are doing a really great job of that.
I gotta be honest with you. That logo looks really good on you, Coach.
Hey, you know what? I was actually thinking about you wearing that Washington State shirt. That's one of my favorites, actually. So
I appreciate
you're representing it well.
Thank you. I'm third generation Wazoo, and I got a boy over there. You'll try not to run him over on the sideline. He works media on the sideline for the football game, so he's fourth generation over there right now.
Okay. Well, you tell him to make sure he's also bringing that juice. Okay, you gotta get everybody involved.
Don't you worry.
Get everybody involved.
All right. So here's what I got on Malcolm Hardman. 3 years in Missouri. Prior to that, you were at Auburn. Is that right?
Prior to that, I was actually at Western Kentucky.
Did you graduate from Auburn?
I graduated from Auburn. Yes, sir.
You got a bachelor's and a graduate degree from Auburn.
I sure did. Yes, sir, I did.
You did. And then I also hear that you're a licensed MMA fighter in both Alabama and Tennessee.
Woo! That was back in the day now. That was back in the day. Long time ago.
Okay. All right. So you're retired from MMA
I am. I'm fully.
Unless you see some of these kids slacking off.
I got to make sure I go ahead and whip these whippersnappers into shape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. How long have you been on campus now?
So I got here December 28th. Flew in to Seattle, and then wound up going on over to straight here. So it was pretty nice.
So 3 months in the Pacific Northwest. You're coming from an SEC background. What was your first impression? You could tell me good or bad.
Yeah.
Coming into that weight room and interacting with these guys. What was your first impression?
Okay, two things, actually. One, we had a really nice weight room. I was very impressed with our weight room.
It is a nice weight room.
Like, I love it. It's, that's my little dungeon. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly where I want to be.
That's your office. You got it.
And the other thing was just how awesome our kids are. You know what I'm saying? We've got a great group of men, you know what I'm saying? And that, to me, pretty much is a bit of an anomaly within college football. You know what I mean? We have a really great group of guys who wind up, really coming together and continue to wind up pushing through all the adversity that they face.
Now, I've talked to a number of players, both who have transferred in and who are part of the past Coug teams. And all of them agree that you are beating the hell out of these guys from a physical standpoint right now. And just like I've heard of guys getting back to the locker room and puking and stuff. What is it about your style that was a shock to these guys' system?
It's a bit fast-paced.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So whenever we wound up initially getting started, I told them exactly how we were going to wind up doing things. You know what I'm saying? So obviously we already had our winter off-season lifts and everything like that. We had all of our speed work and everything, and it was definitely a little bit more than what they were used to.
All right.
So, we got them acclimated, and it took them a few weeks to wind up really go ahead and getting right. So it was definitely a lot more fast-paced. Not just in terms of our actual speed work, but also within our actual weight room. You know what I'm saying? So I like to go ahead and make sure that they're getting a bit of a conditioning aspect, during the actual training, even whenever they are working on something more specific for their actual position. So making sure that they're bouncing around from station to station and just making sure they're also being super, super detailed. If they're not detailed, then we got to go ahead and do it again.
And again, now, did you have a chance? Were you able to be in the weight room for Pro Day that just happened on Monday here?
100%. Oh yeah. That was actually really, really cool. I like the way that it was ran. We wound up we had 22 guys, wound up having the guys going to be in here, getting quick measurements and everything like that, getting their pictures taken with the scouts before we wound up getting into bench. And I was a little bit behind the scenes, making sure that everybody was going to be on task. Everybody's in line, everything like that. So it was a good time. It was a really good time.
Coach, let me ask you this. What has been the biggest change you've seen in your job responsibilities, or how you're implementing your strength and conditioning and all that, and just the relatively number of years that you've been doing it? I know you're still young in your career and you got a big career in front of you, but we see so much in college athletics evolving from with the NIL, which we focus on, and just the whole environment in general. But from your perspective, strength, conditioning, getting these kids ready to perform, what's been the biggest shift that you've seen?
Biggest shift that I've seen is that, essentially it's a new team every single year, so even from coming on in, what I'm saying, we had obviously a good amount of retention, and that's all thanks to Coach Moore. However, we still had a lot of transfers come on in, right? You know what I'm saying? So being able to go ahead and assimilate everybody on in and trying to go ahead and do your best to make sure that there is a team cohesion there, you know what I'm saying? Making sure that they all understand that we are in this together quick as possible, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you want to make sure that, you understand that it's not a lot of time, from January until the actual season starts. So the better you can actually wind up having those guys quickly assimilate as a brotherhood, as a family, as actual friends, and then the better it's going to be. In terms of my own personal situation, I would say it's a whole heck of a lot of more meetings, you know what I'm saying? I'm in meetings just about every single day, you know what I mean? And just making sure that everything is going to be running pretty smoothly. But
is that because everybody's trying to adapt to a new culture every season? Is that why you have more meetings, or is it just is there another reason?
Just making sure that, you know what I'm saying, we're all connected from department to department, right? You know what I'm saying? So say, for instance, I need to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, I'm really dialed into what nutrition is doing. I need to make sure I'm really dialed in to what our athletic trainers are doing, you know what I'm saying, from a return to play standpoint. Make sure that, you know what I'm saying, we're all running really smoothly so that there's no hiccups, there's no gaps within our program.
Well, it's an interesting, we talk about continuity a lot here, and why, you know, NIL to us is so important for just continuity of first players, but then obviously if you can keep the players, you can keep the staff around.
Right.
And so like you really think about it, if every year in any business you had to create a new management structure and a new staff every year,
well,
like that takes a lot of onboarding.
Think about it also, the human experience that's being without player retention, because I think it's great where you could see some kid like an Abe Lucas come in.
Yeah.
Right. Skinny, scrawny kid. Okay. Now he's got a Super Bowl ring. He's playing at the NFL level. Right. Yeah. And you could see that player development, and there was strength and conditioning and a lot of other development that went into that kid, but you could see him grow. And now what I worry about for coach here is he gets a freshman in, and he's like, hey, this is going to be a project, but in a couple of years, I'm going to have this kid dialed in. And then you don't even know if you're going to get those couple of years anymore because of all of this moving around that we're seeing with athletes, sometimes getting bad advice about where they should go. Coach, what's been your experience with that?
So here's the deal. Here's my thought process with that, right? You know what I'm saying? So you're completely right. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, there have been times where you can only have an athlete for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? They wind up coming in June. But, you know, when you have the guy, you know what I'm saying, a freshman coming on in, you're completely right. Could wind up not only having them only for a year or something like that. But one thing that doesn't change is your job, right? You know what I'm saying? You actually continue to wind up making sure that you still pour into these kids no matter what, right? You know what I'm saying? Because you never know exactly what kind of influence, what kind of impact that you could possibly have on them, right? And so one thing that I like to think about is, okay, so if you do wind up coming in, but you want to transferring out to another program, I want that next strength coach to be like, you know what? Wow. Like, this kid actually got really developed within that short amount of time. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that no matter what, anybody who winds up coming through this program gets developed to the best of their abilities.
Yeah.
When you think of your coaching style, you know, do you have a specific philosophy for getting to know these kids fast? Because that's kind of the world that you're in right now, right?
Yes, sir. So, you know, one of the things that I like to do is actually wind up, obviously we got 97, 96 kids, you know, so, you know, whenever we first get here, I want to go ahead and meet with every single one of them, right? You know what I mean? So, so initially it's a lot of meetings, trying to go ahead and get a feel for them, try to get understanding of what they felt about the previous strength staff and program. You know what I'm saying? What they felt like they lacked, what they would like a little bit more of, what they felt like the strengths were, you know what I mean? As well as obviously, you know what I'm saying, the team culture, right? One of the questions that I wound up asking a lot of the guys was, who did they feel like was going to be a leader on this team this upcoming year, you know? So that was able to help me to actually wind up, you know what I'm saying, get a good gauge of what I was working with. And the beautiful thing is that, you know, typically I always wound up getting around the same answers, around the same guys, you know, and it was a good amount of guys too, you know, and that's exactly what you want. In terms of a team culture standpoint.
What was the name that kept popping up for leaders for this year?
So we had Ashton Tripp, Kirby Voorhees, and Max Woods being absolute workhorses. Trey Lechner, you know what I'm saying? We had Johnny Lester, Caden Beatty, Keith Brown, you know what I'm saying? All those guys definitely wound up popping up, every single one.
The usual suspects.
The
usual suspects. Great kids.
Yeah.
Great, all of them. Great kids.
Who has surprised you the most in the weight room? Like from just
who's really who's
I didn't think that kid could do that.
Blowing the doors off of it right now?
Oh man. All right. So, well, this guy's not very, he doesn't really surprise me because, you know, he came in and he's a big guy. It's Jairo Lepatelli. And you know what I'm saying? He's throwing some weight around like it's absolutely insane, honestly. Jairo, he's super strong. He's very, very powerful. Nylan Brown, linebacker from Kent State. And honestly, Kirby does a really, really great job also of throwing some weight around, which isn't surprising given his style of running.
He likes to get physical. Now you've been with Coach Moore. You were with him in Missouri too, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was there for 4 years. He came in the year after I came in there. So yeah, that's exactly when we wound up establishing our relationship.
What for people who are all still, waiting on the edge of the seat, what kind of football can Coug fans expect to see this fall? You've been with Coach Moore, and you're out there getting these kids ready. What are we going to see?
Fast tempo, great attention to detail. We're going to see some inside run. We're going to see some really good things in terms of our actual defense. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see some guys who know how to tackle, who are super dialed into the details as well. We're going to see a lot of verbal combat. We're going to see guys really communicating on the field, both offensively and defensively. So we're going to see a really well-connected team. We're going to see a team that actually has been through some adversity and knows exactly how to step up through it.
Here's a question. Are we going to see a huddle? Because let me tell you our experience. So we went like 10 years here at WSU and never saw a huddle ever. Okay. Even times when we probably should have been huddling Definitely up and running the clock, but we had a coach who just didn't know anything about how to do that. And then all of a sudden we get Coach Rogers here. And like the very first game, like in the first quarter, we're huddling up and I'm like, what the hell is that? What are we doing out there?
Wait a minute. What is this?
Yeah, whoa. What is this? Right. So we're not going to see too many huddles, right?
You know what? Situational football. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to go ahead and give away the keys to the kingdom. You know what I mean? We're going to go ahead and make sure what needs to be done is done.
Okay. What's your favorite place to eat in Pullman so far?
You know what's a great question. First of all, I need to go ahead and give a shout out to Rico's Pub. Actually, just ate there last night. Just ate there last night for the first time. I didn't realize it was that big. Walked in, it was beautiful atmosphere, kind of like a Chicago vibe. So that was really, really cool. So it's either Rico's right now or South Fork.
Okay,
those are my top two.
Okay.
Yeah, both of those are great choices.
There is some good dining options. And for a little town like Pullman,
there are
some
better.
There
are.
I
haven't tried yet is Old European. I want to go ahead and try that place out.
Old European, if you can get there not on a weekend, you don't have to wait in line. It's great. But like, I don't know. South Fork is Red Card. Have you had
South Fork's good. I got to tell you, the best kept secret is the chicken sandwich up at the Land.
I do like the Land. I haven't had their chicken.
Oh, they got a fried chicken sandwich up there. It's pretty damn good.
Okay, I've been to the Land twice actually. Yeah, I'm trying. I need to go on just a whole tour of everything.
Yeah, you do. That's something we were talking about doing with a couple of the players, is getting them to go on like a little culinary tour of Pullman.
I think it's absolutely needed.
We do it in the summer when the weather's good.
Yeah, and campus is quiet too.
Yeah,
and then like those restaurants could use the extra people knocking on their doors a little bit. Absolutely.
Coach, you got family out here in Pullman with you?
Yes, actually, just wound up getting my wife actually during that when we had spring break. Our last conditioning session, wound up heading up to Spokane, flew on out to Missouri, spent the next 3 days packing up the house, and spent the next 3 days after that on the 28-hour ride on up back to Pullman.
Now, where's your wife from? I'm going to ask that. Yeah. Where'd she grow up?
She grew up in Auburn, Alabama, born and raised.
Okay. How's she liking Pullman so far?
She likes it. Yeah. So we probably traveling a good bit around, maybe in the month of May, going out to Seattle. She's actually been to Seattle a couple of times before. I've never been. This is my first time ever being up here, so I'm pretty excited about that. Being able to get around. I've already been up to Coeur d'Alene. I've been up to Spokane, Tri-Cities, all that. So need to continue my tour.
All right. Well, one last question. If we get to 4,000 1890 Club members this year, will you MMA fight somebody of our choice?
You know what? Call it. Let's go. Line them up. I'm ready to go. I'm heading to start training right now.
Just the person in mind.
All right, you guys, it's going to happen right before a game. We're going to do it in the field house. It's happening. So,
Coach, thanks a million for being here. It's Coach Michael Hardman, our new Director of Football Athletic Performance. Coach, welcome to Pullman. We can't wait to see what you guys are doing this fall for us. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, Coach.
Thank you, guys. It was an honor. I appreciate you.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
That whole staff, every time I talk to anybody on that staff, I'm just like,
yeah, let's go.
Yeah, like every single one of them. I haven't met a dud yet.
No.
And I identify duds fast.
You are a good dud identifier. That's true, Brian. I'll give you that. You know your duds. You know your duds.
I see them.
No, and and he brings something up too, which is not only do we have a lot of big characters in the coaching staff, but big positive, motivating type characters. But then there's this character of the kids that we got on the team too. And we've gotten to know some of these kids. We've had a few of them on our show already. We saw a lot of that come out when Coach Rogers decided to bail on us. And then with the retention and those that were out recruiting to keep players there and stuff like that, we got some significant character on this team.
Cassie and I were talking about it tonight. Every time, the more I get to know Coach Moore's staff, it's funny because, you had Dickert, and Dickert was the alpha male of the group, right? Nobody else spoke to the media.
He was the rah-rah guy.
He was the rah-rah guy. Rogers wouldn't let his.
He was really good. Yeah. By the way,
Rogers wouldn't let his coordinators talk, right?
Well, Jimmy barely spoke.
But he was also the most vocal, right?
Yeah, and of a very non-vocal bunch.
And it's funny because, and I'm not saying, I don't feel like Kirby's an introvert by any means, but
he lets his assistant coaches
be. His assistant coaches, like, they get to have their personality.
We had the OC and the DC at night with Cougar Athletics.
Yep.
They were both fantastic. We've had Brad Larondo, the GM, on this show. I mean, if you can't get fired up after talking to Brad, check your pulse.
And then just this, I mean, it's just a great example of, like, there's just a culture tone that I'm pumped to see. I'm curious to see what it yields on the field. I'm very optimistic about it.
I'm interested to see what our next guest has to say, because unlike you and I have only watched football games from up in the seats.
Fair.
Okay. Haven't spent a lot of time in the locker rooms, that understand team culture and the grind that is the game of football. Our next guest definitely does that.
Oh, he's got a ton. Should we bring him on now?
Yeah, while we're bringing him on, I will go ahead and read the intro that we did here. But played for our Cougs, the Cougs, 2004 to 2007, all-time leader at the university in punt return yards. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. When he graduated, he also had the most receptions in school history.
I did know that.
That's pretty big because, we're a school that throws the ball around a little bit. Okay. And then this year, he was inducted into the Pacific Northwest Football Hall of Fame, making him the 23rd Coug to receive that honor.
Nice.
And then, of course, everyone knows him because he's kind of like a local, media celeb.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
He's the guy. You'll see him on CW.
Let's get him on.
Yeah.
Mr. Michael Bumpus.
How are you, sir? All right. He's always been the second guest. Let's see if there's an audio issue. Bump, you there? I see him.
We see him.
It's always a second guess. There's got to be a glitch with StreamYard or something.
Yeah, because if they're coming into the green room,
and
they're getting added to the stage, that's all there is to it. Unless he's got,
it's happened like a couple shows in a row.
Oh, he's moved. Okay,
Bump,
Michael,
you there?
Can you hear us? Oh, is he muted?
He can't hear us. If you, I don't think he can hear us, but if you can hear us, sign out and sign back in. That seems to take care of the glitch.
This is where Cassie jumps in, makes the phone call real quick, and does the troubleshooting. Hey,
Bump, you there? Oh, no. We did it because it happened.
All right. Okay.
Well,
we get a do-over. It's a mulligan.
I was like pumped to talk to Bumpus. Now
it's a mulligan.
Us talking to each other again.
Oh, Jesus. We'll figure it out. You want to talk about men's basketball?
No, God, no.
I'm going to give you two choices. Here's your two topics: men's basketball or September 11th. Which one would you like to talk?
We're pivoting off that fast.
All right. Can you hear us now?
Got you.
All right, Bump, what's happening?
All right. Well, if you didn't hear us before, I do want you to know I was doing a fantastic setup, Michael. I was talking about how you're the all-time leader in punt return yards, and when you graduated, you had more receptions than any wide receiver in school history, which is saying something because we throw the ball around at Wazoo, as you know. And this year, the 23rd Coug inducted into the Pacific Northwest Football Hall of Fame.
Congratulations. That's huge.
I appreciate that, fellas. Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks for being here. So one of the things we like to do with former players is see how well they know some of their career stats. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. If you don't know the answer, don't worry. I do. All right. Do you know what game you had the most receiving yards in?
I want to say it was against Oregon State.
Whew. It was against Oregon State. You remember how many yards you had?
120 maybe.
Close. 132.
132.
He had 132 yards receiving October 1st, 2005 at Oregon State.
Yep.
Most TDs in a game.
2 probably against Idaho.
2 against Idaho, September 15th, 2007.
All right.
Most receptions in a single game.
Most receptions, I want to say that was against SC.
Dude, he's good. 11. 11, September 30th, 2006 against USC.
And this is where we're going to stop him, Bump, because now is typically when he pivots to like the stats that other people don't want to talk about, you know?
Yeah,
so I'm gonna give
fumbles
you
in it. No, I wouldn't do that.
He's killed the vibe a couple times with those kind of questions.
Thanks.
I like those questions though. I like those. I think I have 4 career fumbles. I want to say. Yeah, I like
I didn't research that. I'll take your word for it. We focus on all the positive stuff around
Bill's
here.
making progress, and you know that's all that matters right there.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, great job with Night with Cougar Athletics. You and Yogi Roth got to co-host that. You basically got to run the auction. You actually raised some pretty good money that night too. Tell us about that experience. That was the first time you got to do it in that capacity, right?
Yeah, typically me and Yogi, he's the guy on stage. I'm working the crowd or whatnot. But then Brandy, who runs all that, emailed us maybe a week prior and said, auctioneer can't make it, and you guys want to do it. And I'm always up for a challenge. So I said, I'll give it a go and watch some videos and remember the auctioneer from last year. And just try to have fun with it, man. It's easy. It's a cool event.
You watched some film, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I watched some film. You gotta watch film.
Exactly.
Well, now those auctioneers charge a pretty penny for that. So if you've got some now, I know some guys who have broadcast backgrounds and then they had to learn how to do that, and now they're doing okay.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Because a lot of times for any of the Eastern,
and he's
Washington
got enough
ones,
pokers in all these fires. I mean, he's kind of media guy here, media guy there, doing this, doing that.
He breaks this wall down.
Then he all of a sudden becomes auctioneer on top of it.
We've had some like cattle auctioneers for some 509 events, and that's been very Coug-ish. But you did a great job, man. That was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. Yogi makes it easy. I mean, obviously the Cougs there, it's relaxed, so it was a good time.
Hey, have you been around the new staff and had any opportunity to spend some time with them and talk to the kids? And if so, what's the sense you're getting as a former player yourself, having a real understanding of team culture and all that? What are you sensing over there?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be the first one to interview Coach Kirby.
Cool.
He came on our show, Bumpy Station Show, 10 to 2, 710. You can holler at us if you want to.
Yeah, there you go.
And we got to talk to him, and it was we did Jimmy. We had Jimmy last year too. So what I noticed, like that first interview was always kind of just standard. You know what I mean? Like you ask the certain questions, I can almost predict what answers I'm gonna get. Is more just introducing Coug Nation to the coach. But when I really got a chance to talk to Coach was actually at the auction, and that's him and Coach Bray, who I've spoken to before the DC because he was over there at Oregon State. I used to CW Pac-12 Network. We cover those games. And then Coach Miller, that was funny. Coach Miller was funny because he walks up to me and I'm just talking to him, shooting the stuff. And I'm like, where are you from? And he says his name. I go, man, that sounds familiar. And he goes, but you're not from Washington. How are you affiliated? He goes, I'm the OC. I go, Coach, why didn't you just say I'm Coach Miller, the OC? You know what I mean? I'm just sitting there doing this dance for no reason.
Experience with him.
I'm like, just say I run the offense. Because as soon as he said his full name, I'm like, I know who you are. Why are we doing this? You know what I mean? But no, it was cool, man. I mean, it's I know what Coach Bray, I actually played against Coach Bray when he was at Oregon State. So I know his style of play. I know what he wanted to do at Oregon State. And unfortunately, it was tough over there. With Coach Miller, man, he wants to have balance. And I think that his emphasis was you got to win the trenches. And we all know that, right? Like I train kids all the time and I tell them I could make a slow average receiver successful because there's timing, there's technique. But if you can't win the trenches, man, it doesn't care what you have on the outside. So his emphasis was just making sure that they win in the trenches because as you guys know, man, Wazoo, we'll find, the 5'11", 195 receiver and he'll ball out for us. That's kind of what we do. So I think the foundation with the offense is just going to be, win the trenches as you should. Defensively, Coach Brady didn't want them running around and just hitting people. That's how he played. I want to say I remember a story with him breaking his face mask when he was at Oregon State. Like that's how Coach Brady is. So no, so far so good, man. I've only had like 2 or 3 interactions with him. I know Brandon. I'm gonna jack his name. Gishmansworthy. I'm sorry. I've known that kid since he was in 5th grade. I still can't say his name.
It's the last name that takes out. It goes from like elbow to elbow on that jersey, man. It's a long one.
It's wild. It's wild. I should master it by now, but no, I've spoken to him because obviously there's been some overlap there with him and the other coaching staff. He likes what's going on there. This is the honeymoon, you know. This is when guys are grinding in the weight room. Everyone's enthusiastic and excited about it, as they should. Spring football is coming up. All the vibes are good so far.
Right. I want to ask you a story going back in the time machine a little bit, because you had a little bit of a unique journey as how you ended up at WSU to begin with, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I know the story, but I want you to tell us how because you weren't originally coming to Washington State, were you?
I wasn't. And there's 2 versions to this story. One,
we'll take the truthful one
that Pete Carroll told everybody, and then one that I'm like, all right, well,
and then the truth. Okay,
it's a little different for me, but maybe somewhere in the middle. So, at first, I was actually verbal to LSU. My dad lives in Mississippi. It was a close drive. I went out there, toured the campus, and then I met Coach Saban, and I just felt like our personalities just wouldn't vibe. I was like, I don't know, man. This is
I can dig that. Yeah,
not my style. It's a South. It's different culture. I love the South.
Be around. He's Coach Saban. So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I told Saban, I go, you know what? I'm gonna go to this other school, and I took my trip to SC, and it was fun, man. I mean, I'm hanging out with Matt Leinart and all those guys, and it's right down the street from where I live, about 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away. And I told Pete, I'm gonna do it. So then maybe 3 or 4 days before signing day, they come to my house and they're like, hey, we're gonna ask you to red shirt or gray shirt. And I'm like, why? The grades are fine. Like, what's going on? But obviously USC can have the pick of the litter, and there's this young man, you might know his name, Dwayne Jarrett, who they're looking at, and they're like, we just feel like he's a bit more ready to play than you, which I appreciate. And Dwayne was awesome. I mean, no denying what Dwayne.
Oh, he was a fantastic football player. Yeah.
Great football player. So I knew, my mom always told me, man, she said, you got to have a plan B and C. And I never thought I'd get to C, but C was Washington State. And
really, what was B?
Well, A was LSU, B was SC, and then C was Washington State. And
totally lucked out.
However we get
totally lucked out.
When I went to Washington State, they had just beaten Texas in the Holiday Bowl, Vince Young, those guys. And that was the only place I went to on my trips. I went to SC, LSU, ASU, UCLA, and Washington State. It was the only trip I went to where none of the players were hating on each other. Like, none of them. Like, everywhere else I went, there's a situation where one guy's telling me about this guy's telling me about that guy. And it just wasn't like that at Washington State. And obviously at the time they were throwing the football a lot. Back then it was 30 times a game. So, they were throwing the football. 3 10-win seasons, and I got to plan C. And my high school coach told me, he goes, you're going to shock the world right now. No one's going to expect you to do this. And I just felt comfortable with my decision and said, let's do it.
That's awesome. Now, you played for Coach Doba for how many years that you were there?
All 4.
All 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Coach Doba was of all the coaches that I got to know most of, Bill Doba was probably the nicest one of the bunch.
For sure.
He was a really nice man.
Uh-huh.
So, what was your experience like playing for him?
Doba was awesome. He didn't really coach me because it was like the defensive side of the ball, really.
Right.
But what I do remember, Coach Doba, even till this day, man, every time I see him, just one of the nicest people I've ever met in the world. And he was in a tough spot. Obviously, him taking over with Price leaving and all that stuff that went on there. And you can tell like he was just trying to make this thing his own. You still had Coach Levin still there. Coach Rose was there. Coach Yarno, rest in peace, was still there. Coach Skip. So it was kind of like we were just like a ragtag group, like us against the world type thing, you know what I mean? Which I think we kind of embody as Cougs anyway. Like, all right, let's just go out there and fight, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I just remember Doba just always making sure that everyone was okay, like mentally, emotionally okay. Didn't coach me a lot because he was on the defensive side, but Seen him, he was always the first person I saw when I got on the bus to travel. Every time we stayed at hotels, he'd take 5 minutes and just check in with me. Doe was one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And that team was fun to play for.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go through all that drama as a high school senior, but as a Coug fan, I'm pretty stoked it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out well for us Cougs. So thank you very much.
It's the best thing that happened to me, honestly. Best thing.
Well, no, I want to pivot just a little bit because you mentioned it at the top of the interview about how you coach a lot of kids. I mean, you're out there working a lot. First of all, how many hours are in your average day? Because I feel like you might have 30 or 35 because you've got like 4 jobs, where the rest of us can only keep one. But like, you're coaching kids of a lot of different ages. How is that? I mean, what is their experience like compared to your experience? Trying to get to D1 or even D2.
They have more exposure, but that makes it harder for them because when I was growing up, I couldn't just pick up my phone and see what a kid in Florida was doing. I had to read about it, pick up newspapers, and I was checking in on Steve Smith's stats to try to catch him. You know what I mean? Like, nowadays, recruiting's so much easier for these guys and harder because NIL and all that stuff, but they have access to every kid in the country. So my thing is, how are you going to separate yourself? And it's hard to do, to separate yourself, to grab an eye of the coach, to be persistent in your recruiting process, be respectful at the same time. So their experience is different because it's definitely harder for them. I've played with some guys who probably shouldn't have been D1 football players, but because one coach saw them and liked them, and you didn't really have all the access. You have to watch VHS tapes to check on everybody. He snuck in, so no one's sneaking in now. You gotta be legit.
How many people are you seeing though that are not landing? Because you're seeing a lot of these kids transfer in a year or two after they're playing at the lower level, and some of them are coming in and they can play. They can flat out play. We saw some kids come in with Coach Rogers from South Dakota State that turned out to be some pretty darn good football players. So what's that phenomenon like?
Yeah, that's what makes it harder, right? Because we see who's our safety last year, Large.
Tucker Large, kid can play.
I mean, come on, I talk to NFL scouts now, and they say he's going to be a good player in the NFL. But you get lost in the mix. You get lost in the shuffle because now you got 2 minutes to grab a coach's attention when you watch your X highlights or whatnot. I tell my kids 2 minutes. You got to put your best stuff on there. And sometimes they'll look at measurables, they'll look at their competition, where they're from, and they kind of pigeonhole, where the coach is going to start off first. California, Texas, Florida. That's where they're going to start. And then everything else kind of gets mixed in between. So it's hard for them. There are guys who are going to get slept on, but they also have an opportunity that we didn't have, which is being able to transfer whenever you want to. When I was playing, I had to go to a lower level or sit out a year, and I wasn't going to do that. So that's where they do have the advantage, is that even if you do start somewhere small, you can end up at a D1 Power 5 easy, or Power 4, I should say now.
Now, so I mean, because the marketplace for players is such a weird, frenzied market where you'll have this like star kid all of a sudden get a ton of attention and be garnering millions and millions, and maybe a kid of the same skill who's just kind of in that 3-star pool that's maybe not getting a ton of attention. So if you were a coach at a school like Washington State, what do you think your process would look like as far as recruitment? Where would you start, and then how would you kind of filter out who you'd be most attracted to for your team?
Well, one, you got to talk to the trainers out here, guys like myself. You got Reggie Jones, Lavelle Durant, who's a quarterback guy out here, Courtney Taylor, who's the other receiver guy that I send my guys to if they can't work with me. You got to talk to those guys or those facilities like mine. You got ETA, you got Air, you have FSP. We're kind of the 3 main ones here, but there's a bunch of other smaller ones that have talent too. Rise down there, down south in Southern Washington. You got to tap in with those guys. And you have to, as trainers, we have to be completely honest with the coach too. Because they can tap in with us, and I could gas somebody up, and he's not really like that. But for reputation-wise, I want to send him there. So it's all about relationships right now. That's how you get things started. But then, coaches got to eval. They got to take those 2 minutes, 3 minutes and watch these kids and get to these schools and then look them in the eyes and talk to them. But you got to take care of home first. State of Washington has a lot of good football players. People don't think there's a lot of good football up here because there's not a lot of people. But you take care of home first, and you hit the West, right? You got to hit Oregon, Cali, Idaho, Montana, Denver. I know we want to stretch our footprint out even down south, and that's fine too. Like, I think you should try to shoot for the stars and all that good stuff. But I think that you take care of the West Coast first, and get a foundation, and then out a bit.
In the time you've been training, what schools have you been most impressed with? Who's been doing that well?
Washington State, UW for a minute.
Which
Eastern has been great. The staff before, it was DeBoer staff.
DeBoer staff.
Yeah. DeBoer staff was great. I know we're not supposed to like dogs, but DeBoer's a good dude, man. He's a really good dude.
No, I've actually heard that from a lot of people that DeBoer is a good dude, and his program was he runs a good program.
And then there was another school you mentioned right after UW. What was that?
Was it Eastern.
Okay. Eastern takes care of us for sure. And then I think there are more D2, D3 type of athletes in the state. There's only a handful of real D1 guys, but then you go to the smaller schools. Oregon has the most D3 schools I've ever seen in my life. I didn't realize Oregon has so many dang schools down there.
Yeah.
And then Oregon does a good job as well. And Cal does a good job.
So I imagine you're getting a lot of conversations from high school students, their parents, maybe some D3, D2 kids, of just like, what do I do? Because that's kind of what we see a lot is there's no playbook right now for a lot of these kids to get where they want to go. Do you recommend working with an agent? What are you telling these kids besides just get exposure?
See, and this is where it's even harder for them, because there's a lot of people in my industry who will promise them the world, right?
Yep. Would say,
ride with me.
Yeah.
I'll get you some money, and we'll go from there. And then they're taking their cut from that. Like, it's crazy seeing these kids have to deal with the stuff that I didn't deal with until I was a professional football player, right?
Yeah. Right.
So one, I would tell them to get with someone that has influence and that you trust. You got to trust that and has a track record of taking care of not only the top dog, but everyone in between. I mean, that's the thing.
And that's a big one, because a lot of these guys are like collectors. They'll just get their bench deep, and then it's like, well, I've got the guy who's in demand, so I'm just going to focus on that. You got 20 other kids that aren't getting attention. So
So you got to find someone who moves with that type of integrity, and then you got to know who you are in the eyes of these coaches or whatnot. I mean, if you're coming out and you could talk to a coach, you get an honest assessment and say, okay, this is the player they think I am right now, and kind of align it with several coaches. Then start there. It's okay to start off as an Eastern kid. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's completely fine.
I just at that point. Sure.
I just trained a kid right now who's in the NFL who played for Eastern. You know what I mean? Like, you can start somewhere and be fine with that. I think understanding who you are as a player and on film is the biggest advantage you can have, because then you can set your path up and have realistic goals and expectations. You can still develop, your second year and get that transfer. So I think the main thing is knowing who you are and getting with people who have a track record of taking care of everybody, not just the top dogs.
Let me ask you this, though. Who's it harder to convince as to who they are, the player or the player's parents?
Oh, you already know the answer to that. The parents all day.
but that is a big dynamic of what you're dealing with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The parents, man. And listen, most parents want the best for their kid. Like, I want the best for my son and my daughter. I'm like, I understand that, but I think the parents, because they're being thrown into this world too, see all this opportunity and don't want to take the necessary steps to set your kid up. You just want it right now, which I get. You want it right now. So yeah, parents are tough, man. But I think that the parents that I talk to, once I break it down to them and keep it 100 with them, like, hey, this is my assessment. If you don't trust my assessment, you know what you do when you're sick or you have an injury, you go get a second opinion. Go get a second opinion, and then if it aligns up, you want to work together, then I'm here for you.
That's awesome. So, okay, this is not really even a trivia question. I'm gonna ask both of you guys here of the entirety of Coug Nation, who do you think the biggest Michael Bumpus fan is? I know the answer to this.
Is it Cassie Hurley?
I mean, Cassie Hurley and Jack Hurley are like way up there for sure.
My guy Jack.
It's Zevi Eckhouse, man. Because you
really?
you guys both because you guys both went to Culver City, right?
Yeah, Zevi. Yep.
So like Zevi came to I think you might be a reason Zevi ended up just looking at WSU.
Michael Bumpus' footsteps.
Because Bump is a legend down there. And so, Zevi went to high school hearing about this guy. It was really funny. There was a moment last year I don't even remember what the circumstances were. Cassie remembers this better. We were talking about WSU and and your name came up, and all of a sudden Zevi went from like serious player, cool guy to like fanboy. Like,
was he just fanboying?
You met him? He's
really?
That's
awesome.
Really cool. So
that is
Zevi
awesome.
Eckhouse is like your number one fan, and
that's a good fan to have.
I think
too.
we got
He's
Bumped to
kid.
thank for a little bit of Zevi being at our school. So
I love Zevi. I remember the first time I met Zevi. I was covering a game. Man, I forget what game it was. Either Oregon State or that San Jose State game that went to like double overtime. I forget which one it was. But
San Jose State did, yeah.
I see him warming up. He doesn't see me, and I'm just walking over to him, and he's kind of looking strange, like, is he coming over here? And takes off his headphones, dap him up, man, and just told him how proud I am of him because, especially after this year, all the stuff he went through, you know what I mean? Like, you're the starter, you're not the starter. Oh, no, you're the starter again. Like to stay mentally focused and have all that up and down and then still be the most positive, God-fearing leader type kid through all that and never sway from who you are, I think is the most impressive thing about that dude.
I agree.
100%. Okay, one final question from me. I think you were the you were the only Seahawk alum who was in the parade.
You did get into the parade. How'd you pull that one off?
That off, man?
Yeah.
Tell me about
good
that.
Work. Yeah. Solid work, by the way.
Job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just confidence or what? Like.
No, I got to thank I'm the broadcast team, so I'm the lead host for their pre halftime and post, and I didn't think they're gonna get us afloat, and they called us up, and they're like, "You guys want to be in it?" I go, "Yes, most definitely."
Absolutely.
Yes.
Here's the funny part about that is so the parade started late because there was a bus that couldn't get a turn. So we were literally the second float behind the legends like Richard Sherman and all those guys. So people thought we were players and they were so excited. I go, I just got to live it up right now.
Yeah.
So we had them fooled. We were not players, but they were showing us love.
That's awesome.
All right. So my final question to you is this. First of all, let's put a plug in for everything Michael Bumpus is doing. So tell us where we can find you on air, and then tell us about what you're doing with young athletes and how if people are watching, they got a young athlete that's really trying to get to the next level, how they can check out what you got to offer too.
So first, my company is Elite Training Academy. It's here in Monroe. We've been doing this for about 12 years now. If you want to, we train about 150 football players a year. We do volleyball, we do baseball, we do soccer, lacrosse. I mean, I got a great team over there. If you're interested, just go to ETA.com or Elite Training Academy, WA, either one, it'll pop up. And just reach out or reach out on my social media, Michael Bumpus 5 on X and on Instagram. And if I can't answer your question, I have a great director in John Thompson who used to play for the Cougs. And he'll get you all set up. As far as what I'm doing, Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on 710, the Bump and Stacey Show. I got a great co-host in Stacey. I do a bunch of random things for the Seahawks, a bunch of podcasts and events that I host for them. I'm hosting a draft party for them during the football season. On Saturdays, I'm working with CW / the Pac-12 Network. I'm either in the studio calling the game or on the sidelines. And then on Sundays with the Seahawks in their pre-halftime and post-game show.
And when are you sleeping?
Yeah, you.
Hey, right now. As soon as we get off.
We're getting in the way of the nap.
Yeah,
all right.
sorry,
we'll let you go, man.
Time.
Michael Bumpus, thank you so much for joining us. Go Cougs.
Appreciate you guys. Go Cougs.
Good dude.
Great dude.
You know, it's funny. So,
but how does he have enough hours in the day to do all that crap? For real?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
And if you're on air, like if you're doing radio, unlike a couple clowns like us, which we do literally, you do no prep work and I got 1 page of prep work. But if you're doing 4 hours on the radio, you got to do some significant prep work for that too, man. I mean,
you're also going to get, look, you're a trial attorney. I'm a salesperson. Like if I've got those days where I'm just yakking the whole day, by the time I get home, it's like, I got to just sit in a quiet room for an hour. So just imagine going from radio, coaching's its own thing, go from coaching to radio to television, back to television.
Yeah.
So, go bump, dude. And it's fun. I've heard him talk to kids before, like high school age kids. And, getting the questions of like, oh, so, you think I'll make it to the, and he's got it. And like, he gives them a no bullshit,
reality check,
but not in a, like, he's not going to deflate these kids when he does it. It's just like you're going to have to outwork everybody 10 times. I mean, it's
but like you said, even if you're not there now, it doesn't mean you can't get there someday, right?
Yeah.
These kids, a lot of these kids have potential, and it's the amount of work they put into it and stuff like that. So that was good. We had a couple of killer interviews.
That was a fun interview day.
So we got 2 things left to do for sure.
Yes.
One is we do have a statement from the good general again.
Yeah.
I actually reached out to the general and said, hey, we're in the middle of spring football, so why don't you kind of talk about what that means to us? So you're going to love that message. But should we do our Coug of the Week?
I think we got to do our Coug of the Week here.
Okay, you want to set it up?
Yeah. So, we were talking about this. This is
earlier today. We were just on this
process. Yeah. There are people who look, if you're out there trying to raise money for NIL or raise awareness for WSU, look, you get out of line, somebody from licensing will give you a call. But for the most part, we don't bite the hand that feeds here.
Nope.
And I love this. Somebody put it on X, and at the Pasco, what was it like? They took a practice to Pasco.
Yeah,
right?
no, the football team went up there on Saturday and actually had a practice up in Tri-Cities. And
this is a Coug, who's an 1890 club member who took it upon himself to make a banner.
Yeah, we got it right there.
Yeah, let's show it with a QR code. So because the people showing up.
Yeah, we sent him the QR code. That was it. And he did all of this on the gentleman's name is Paul Zaring.
Yeah.
I hope I'm saying that right. Zaring, Zaring. And like you were saying, Brian, it's not just about giving money. If you got a talent, if you got time, if you can give something back to the university,
if you've got
all
buddies,
is welcome.
And what's fun too is, look, I mean, I'm sure if you spend enough time doing volunteer or being on boards and stuff like that, some of them are fun, some of them aren't so much fun. Every interaction I've had with anybody on Planet Coug who's just nerding out over their lane is having a friggin' gas with it. I mean, I
agree.
This stuff we get to do here and then all the people we get to meet, I promise you have something Coug Nation needs, and just put your head together.
Just that positive Coug energy, man. Exactly. That positive Coug energy. All right. So our Coug of the Week, and this is the first time that we get to award this, but we're going to start doing it on a weekly basis. But our Coug of the Week is Mr. Paul Zaring. Paul, bravo to you. Thank you very much. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Hey, let's be more like Paul, everyone.
Yeah.
Be more like Paul.
Be more like Paul. Be the Paul of your hometown.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, Brandon, can we hear? Let's hear what the general has to say.
Yeah, we asked the general to.
Hold on, just a second.
You want me to set this up while you guys are stalling? Yeah, no. So just again to correct the record here, Bill is not General Kirby Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not.
We were talking about conspiracy theories.
I even showed you the text theories.
We were talking about conspiracy theories before we got
did
down
ask
here.
The general, hey, spring ball, can you do a little message? I think, as usual, the general's hit it out of the park. So without further ado, let's hear from the good general.
There we go.
Dearest faithful of the Pulus, as the frost loosens its grip on the rolling wheat fields of Pullman, we gather once more, not for glory, nor for spectacle, but for the quiet, relentless sharpening of our steel. Spring practice is not where legends are crowned. It is where they are forged. We sharpen our craft now because Saturdays in the fall do not forgive hesitation. Every footstep, every throw, every collision is rehearsed in these windswept days when no banners fly and no crowds roar. It is here, in the solitude of early mornings and the discipline of repetition, that boys become cougars worthy of the crimson and gray. We sharpen because our adversaries grow restless. To the west, the Huskies preen and posture, mistaking noise for strength. But we know better. Strength is built in silence. Precision is earned through repetition. Brotherhood is carved through shared struggle. Each drill is a whetstone. Each mistake, a lesson etched in iron. We do not chase perfection. We pursue readiness. For when the drums of autumn sound and the lights blaze over Martin Stadium, it will not be hope that carries us. It will be preparation. So take heart, Cougar Nation. Though these days lack the pageantry you crave, they are the foundation of every triumph to come. Stand fast, believe in the work, and know that your boys in Pullman are sharpening their blades for battles yet to be won. Until the leaves turn and the war cries echo once more. Go Coug, sign General Kirby Moore.
I think it's really important. So, like, we've been talking about this a lot.
Yeah.
And I know I was convinced it was you that was the general. I was convinced it was Matt Lovelace. I was convinced it was CJ McCoy.
Yeah, but we got rid of CJ through process of elimination. Yeah, we've crossed off. CJ's been exonerated from that.
Kuga Sutra, I thought it was him for a minute. But Cassie, my wife, is like the ultimate sleuth when it comes to finding people online.
Women usually are that way.
I kid you not.
They're part bloodhound.
My sister-in-law was adopted, and the first night they met, my wife found her biological mother on the internet. By the time dinner was over.
Crazy.
So Cassie did some sleuthing.
What'd she come up with?
Well, don't be coy. She told you before we got in here, and then we verified it, right? So are we going to share who the general is right before we cut out of the show? Should we?
Maybe we save it for next week.
I think we should say it.
Go ahead.
I think we should say it. Okay, this one I can't believe I didn't know because I talked to the dude a couple times a week.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, he's obviously good with words.
Okay.
So I didn't, and I knew it was, so I was convinced it was you because I was like, it's got to be a lawyer, right? Well, the other lawyer in our circle.
Oh, Brandel.
It's Brandel.
Yeah. But
Cassie figured it out.
Yeah. I think, but does she know for certain or is that just
knows
a strong
for
theory?
Certain. No,
really?
No, we got him to fess up. So,
Brandel.
Yeah.
Tim
Brandel. Outed as the general.
Kirby Moore. Wow.
All right. So there you go. Call Tim and congratulate him on the great work.
All right. Real quick before we leave, if you're getting thirsty, it's time for an Old Crimson lager.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that, or an Old Crimson cocktail tomorrow morning. When you get up in the morning, have yourself a nice cup of Old Crimson coffee.
And if you're not an 1890 Club member,
what's up with that? I mean, seriously, what's that? I mean, no, but seriously, I mean, after listening to tonight's guest, Coach Michael Hardman and Malcolm Hardman, and Michael Bumpus, how could you not be jacked? And, we've been talking about what's going on over there, this energy, not only the energy out of the new coaching staff, but the character and the energy that we got coming out of these kids. This is an amazing opportunity this year. Brand new conference. We're going to win the damn thing.
I already know that we're going to the college football playoff.
We're going to do a live podcast from a parking lot at like Glendale, Arizona for a college football playoff game this year. And people from the other school are going to be walking by going, who are those two freaking clowns right there? But we're collectively Crimson. That's who
right.
We are.
Well, we have been collectively Crimson. And why don't we kick it to a cocktail commercial, Brandon?
And then we'll call it good.
We'll let these people go to bed.
Join the 1890 Club. Most importantly, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Did you hear that? No. Yeah, I definitely heard that.
When Paddock wanted to help raise money for the Cougar Collective, we thought, why not give them a Cougar Collector?
Hold on. Let me try something. Yeah! Woo!
Handmade by Paddock right here in Pullman. Old Crimson Legendary Cocktail isn't just a drink. It's a canned vodka cocktail that magically turns every weekend into, well, Mom's weekend.